Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Love is Absolute coming to you live from the Tribe Direct in your grill. Hey, just want to bring up just some things I was thinking about. So, yeah, automatic trigger response. What do I mean by automatic trigger response? So, basically, anytime a situation happens, like say somebody cuts you off in traffic or somebody yells at you, it automatically triggers a feeling inside of you where either that feeling could be positive or negative. Uh, but most of the times, especially now, it triggers negative emotions. For example, like just when I was driving to go drop off my dry cleaning, this guy literally, I was driving straight, and this guy comes straight in front of me, like didn't have his turn signal on, just literally like, luckily I wasn't going fast because that would have been an accident, but he literally cuts in front of me and then takes his whole slow, he takes his slow ass time coming into the lane and then act like he's oblivious to everything. Oblivious to everything, dude. And my natural response was just to go up there and just curse him out or flip him off. But I had to really learn how to just be patient with him, you know, really be patient with myself and not be so critical, because a lot of times, the opposite of sympathy is just harshness. Like we just cut people off, and it was very challenging. But in that situation, I learned like, okay, well, first of all, let me identify what feeling is triggered inside of me. Obviously, frustration, anger, and then what memory is attached to that. Like when I was younger, when I was growing up, and then, when I would want to express myself, my dad would just cut me off. So it triggers that memory. And then the third thing would just be like, what is the replacement or the process to move forward with that? How do I interpretation? That's the better word, interpretation for me to move forward from that point. So when every time I feel like someone's cutting me off or not allowing me to be in my space, that's what the real issue is, to be in my space and being myself, and cutting me off and not allowing me to express myself freely. How do I deal with that? First of all, I deal with, whatever they're doing to me, even though I feel like it's their fault, it's really ultimately my response or my responsibility of how I respond to their error or flaw. And then it's my responsibility to recognize how does that make me feel? Not so much how does that make me feel like in the moment, but like where does that come from in the past? Well, it comes from, my parents not wanting to listen to me, very authoritative. So, it makes me naturally want to rebel. So understanding that, since that wants to make me rebel, it's just understanding the process of, okay, I need to express that versus hold it in and hold it against this guy. Maybe I don't know, and then consider his situation. That's a big thing, dude. I don't know what he's going through. I don't know why he did that. He might have did that because he's on drugs. He might have been on drugs because he's stressed out. He may be on drugs because his, mom, dad, or his girlfriend left him or whatever. Does it excuse it? No. But I still have to like integrate that into my thinking. So just remember, when people do things to you, or you perceive it that they're doing things to you and they attack you, it's just a reflection of what's inside of us that is being triggered, that the universe wants us to deal with, bring out and deal with in a very constructive way. Because there's many ways we could deal with it. We could be triggered and we can like ignore it, and where does that lead to? Low self-esteem. How do we go from low self-esteem to high self-esteem? How do we move forward from low self-esteem to high self-esteem? Integrity, authenticity, being authentic, like be true to yourself, like love yourself more than everyone else. Like I know like a lot of times we can be like, People love us and they praise us because of what we provide for them. They have a perspective of you're responsible, you're this, you're that, you're this. But what do you say that you are? Not one everyone else. That's the problem. We're not taught from a young age to have a correct view of ourselves because we think our correct view of ourselves is dependent on what other people say about it. It's not. That's what the problem is. Our self view comes from other people. It doesn't come from us. Like today, ask yourself a question like, how do I look at myself? How do I view myself? Do I look at myself skinny, fat, ugly, big-headed, stupid, you know? And we verbalize this stuff. Sometimes we don't verbalize. A lot of times we don't verbalize. We internalize it. But we don't let it come out of our mouths. But we don't have to necessarily let it come out of our mouths, but we can like write it down. We have technology. You can write it down in a notepad. You can, download the app InkPad. Really, really good. And you just, verbalize your thoughts into the paper so you can see your thoughts. That's why I say verbalize your thoughts onto paper so you can see it. Digitize your thoughts onto bits and data so you can see the bits and data. Remember, your job is not to have a job. Your job is not to have a career. Your job is not to make a lot of money. Your job is not to impress other people. Your job is not to have a good life. Your job is not to be impressed with everyone else. Your job is to be impressed with yourself. That's your number one and only job. Your job is to go from hating who you are, hating how you're behaving, hating every attribute and characteristics of yourself to loving yourself, as in elevating. How do you go to the next level? But first, before you can go to the next level in your job, before you can go to the next level in your finances, your health, your wisdom, and your relationships, you need to go to the next level with yourself. This is what it means to elevate in love, to go to the next level with yourself. To the degree that you love yourself is the degree that others love you. But the way others love you should never, ever, ever be dependent upon it should never dictate how you love you for you. Because 1 minute people can love you, next minute they don't. But that should never, ever determine or deter or discourage you from you loving you. You can sit there and say, oh, well, I need to, in order for me to feel love, I need to be in a relationship. No, you don't. Only relationship you need to be in is yourself. That's the first relationship. That's the thing, we're taught to be romantic, we're taught to be sexual, we're taught to be erotic and lovey-dovey and all this bullshit. But it's bullshit. It's all designed for you to develop self-hate. Why do you think you have all these movie stars and stuff like that? Hollywood, what is the point of Hollywood? So you can develop self-hate. So you develop envy, jealousy, and self-hate. That's just what it is, man. So, again, remember, anytime something happens to you, it's just a trigger for you to recognize it, identify where it comes from, embrace it, and then change your perspective. The goal is not to change the actions in the situation. How are you going to change the actions if you don't change, your thoughts and your feelings about the situation? About you, how you are responding. That's just the whole goal. You want, they have employee performance review, your employee performance review. Well, I say, what about your self-elevation performance review? Your self-elevation review. Forget performance. It's too much performance, too much knowledge. That's the problem. It's too much information. We're not expressing and expanding and exposing ourselves. It's like you walk into the candy store with all this candy, and then it's just there's so much candy you're just stuck with indecision, paralysis of analysis. So what do? Do you stand in the store? You want to buy some candy? Well, guess what? Walk out the store. and figure out what type of candy do you want to buy. What type of candy do you want to buy? Why do you want to buy that candy? How does that candy make you feel? What memories does that candy, resonate with you and you connect to that? Because everything you do, every person you attract, it's a reflection of you. It's not a reflection of everybody else and what, all the narrative that's going on. Oh, you're a victim, you're a victim. No, fuck that. You're not a victim. You're wonderfully and beautifully created, imagined, explored, exposed, expanded, and expressed. This is Love is Absolute. Have a great day.